You have been thinking about the same thing for 3 hours. The same fear, the same question, the same loop. And still, no answer has come.
Because the problem is still there. Thinking about it feels like doing something. Like I am at least trying to solve it.
But you are not solving it. You are feeding it. Every thought you pour into that loop makes it louder, not quieter.
So, what am I supposed to do? Just stop thinking? That is not how a mind works.
No, you cannot stop thinking by force. But you can stop believing that every thought deserves your full attention. That is where the ancient way begins.
The ancient way. You mean Stoicism. People talk about it like it is a magic cure for anxiety and overthinking.
It is not a cure. It is a discipline. And that distinction matters more than most people realize.
Then what exactly does Stoicism offer someone who cannot turn their mind off? Someone whose anxiety feels real, not philosophical?
It offers a question. One question that cuts through all the noise. Is this within your control, or is it not?
That sounds simple. Too simple. Real anxiety does not respond to simple questions.
Simple is not the same as easy. That question is one of the hardest things a human mind can honestly answer. Because most of us spend our entire lives answering it dishonestly.
What do you mean by dishonestly?
We pretend that worrying about something outside our control is productive. We call it planning. We call it being responsible. But it is often just suffering in advance for something that may never arrive.
But some things do arrive. Bad things happen. People lose jobs, lose relationships, lose health. Preparing your mind for that is not irrational.
Preparation is not the same as obsession. The Stoics understood this deeply. They had a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity.
What is that exactly?
You visualize what could go wrong, not to frighten yourself, but to remove the shock, to make your mind ready. Then you return to the present and act.
That is different from what most anxious people do.
Completely different. Anxiety rehearses disaster without limit. The Stoic practice visits disaster once, extracts the lesson, and moves forward.
But how do you stop at once? When my mind starts going there, it does not just visit once. It moves in. It unpacks. It stays.
Because you have not yet separated imagination from judgment. Your mind creates a scenario. Your judgment decides whether that scenario deserves to rule your day.
So you're saying I have a choice?
Epictetus said it plainly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions they hold about things. The event is neutral. Your interpretation is where the suffering begins.
That is a hard thing to accept. Are you saying that my suffering is my own opinion? That feels like being told it is my fault.
There is a difference between fault and responsibility. Fault looks backward and assigns blame. Responsibility looks forward and asks what you can do now.
All right. But here is where I push back. Some suffering is not caused by a wrong opinion. Sometimes life genuinely breaks something in you. Grief, trauma, loss that does not respond to philosophy.
You are right. And any honest reading of Stoicism acknowledges this. The Stoics did not claim you should feel nothing.
Then what did they claim?
They claimed that you should not be owned by what you feel. Feel the grief. Feel the fear. But do not let the feeling become the commander of your choices.
That sounds like emotional suppression to me. Feel it, but hide it. Feel it, but ignore it. That is what people do when they are not okay but pretend they are.
That is the most common misreading of Stoicism. Suppression says, this feeling is dangerous, push it down. Stoic discipline says, this feeling is real, but it is not evidence.
Not evidence of what?
Not evidence that your worst thoughts are true. Not evidence that you are in danger when you only feel danger. Not evidence that the future will be what your fear says it will be.
Okay, that I can sit with. But the problem with anxiety is that it feels exactly like evidence. It feels like a warning signal that something is wrong.
And sometimes it is. The body uses fear to protect you. A fast heartbeat before a real threat is biology doing its job.
So fear is not always the enemy.
Never said it was. Fear becomes destructive when it fires without a real threat. When your mind treats an email, a conversation, or a silence as a predator.
The modern world is full of those triggers. Social pressure, financial pressure, constant comparison. The ancient Stoics did not have to deal with the internet.
No, but they dealt with plague, war, exile, slavery, and death. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire while watching his children die. Epictetus was born a slave.
I know their biographies. But that does not automatically make their philosophy fit my problems today.
The philosophy does not have to fit your circumstances exactly. It has to fit the nature of the human mind. And the human mind has not changed in 2,000 years.
That is your strongest point so far. The anxiety I feel over a social media post is structurally the same as anxiety over a battle. The trigger is different. The mental process is the same.
Exactly. The mind catastrophizes. It exaggerates. It projects. It has always done this. And the Stoic tools were built precisely for this.
Then let us talk about the overthinking side. Anxiety and overthinking are connected, but they are not identical. Overthinking can happen without fear. Just spinning. Just analyzing without end.
Overthinking is the mind refusing to trust its own conclusions. You reach a reasonable answer. Then immediately you question it. And then question the question.
Yes, that exact loop. You think you are being thorough, but you are actually avoiding the discomfort of making a decision.
This is the discipline of action that Stoics speak of. You gather what information you have. You act from reason, not from certainty, because certainty rarely comes.
But what if I act and I am wrong?
Then you were wrong with the best information you had. That is not failure of character. That is the honest nature of living in an uncertain world.
But people judge outcomes, not intentions. If I act and I am wrong, I face real consequences, not philosophical ones.
You are correct. The world judges outcomes. But you have to live inside your own character, not inside other people's judgment.
That is easier to say than to live. When other people's judgment affects your income, your relationships, your reputation, it is not just abstract.
Seneca said, "It is not that I am brave because I do not fear. I choose not to be afraid because fear costs me more than the thing I fear. The cost of chronic worry is enormous, and it is paid whether the threat arrives or not."
That reframes it in a way that reaches me. It is not about being fearless. It is about calculating what fear is actually costing you right now.
Every hour of overthinking is an hour you did not live. Every night stolen by anxiety is a night your body and mind needed to rest. The price of uncontrolled mental noise is paid in time, in health, in presence.
So the Stoic argument is not just philosophical. It is practical. Stop suffering uselessly because the suffering itself is harming you.
And harming the people around you. A mind that is constantly at war with itself cannot be fully present for anyone else. That includes the people you are supposed to love.
Now here is something I want to challenge directly. Some people use Stoicism as a shield. They call themselves calm. They call themselves disciplined. But really they are just avoiding everything that requires emotional risk.
You are right to name that. That is not Stoicism. That is avoidance hiding behind a philosophy.
How do you tell the difference?
A true Stoic acts. They engage with life, with difficulty, with other people. They are not detached. They are grounded.
Grounded enough to feel pain without being destroyed by it.
That is closer to the truth. Marcus Aurelius grieved. Seneca feared death and wrote about it honestly. Epictetus was beaten as a slave and still chose his response.
Chose his response. That phrase is doing a lot of work. When pain is intense enough, does choice still exist?
The choice shrinks, but it does not disappear. Even in the worst conditions, there remains a space between what happens to you and how you respond. Stoicism is the practice of keeping that space open.
And when anxiety collapses that space, when the nervous system is flooded and the rational mind goes offline,
then you return to the body first. Breath, ground, slow the physical state. The Stoic discipline begins after the wave, not during it.
That is honest. You cannot reason your way through a panic attack in real time, but you can build a mind that recovers faster.
Exactly. The practice is not about controlling the storm. It is about building a self that is not destroyed when the storm comes.
So where does inner peace actually come from in this framework? Because peace sounds passive. Sounds like giving up.
Peace in the Stoic sense is not silence. It is stability, the ability to remain upright while the world is moving beneath you.
Not the absence of problems, but the presence of something inside you that problems cannot reach.
Yes, Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel, the place inside you that external chaos cannot enter unless you invite it in.
But some external chaos forces its way in. Illness, death of someone you love, injustice you did not deserve. Those break through no matter how prepared you are.
They break through. They hurt. They change you. But they do not have to define what you become on the other side. That part, always, is yours to shape.
That is the hardest thing you have said. In the middle of real loss, you are telling me to think about what I become after.
Not in the middle. In the after. In the middle, you feel what you feel. You grieve. You break. Then you rebuild with intention.
And intention is the Stoic word for everything. What you choose to do with what you have. Not what life handed you, but what you do next.
You cannot control the weather, but you choose how you walk in it. Covered or exposed. Fast or slow. With purpose or with panic.
I want to come back to something practical. Someone watching this right now has been awake since 2 in the morning. Their mind will not stop. What do they actually do?
They write down the thought that is loudest. They ask one question next to it. Is this within my control right now? If yes, they write one action they can take tomorrow. If no, they let it sit on the page, not in the mind.
That moves it from inside the head to outside.
The mind loops because it fears forgetting. When you write it down, you tell the mind, I see it. I have not abandoned it. The loop often slows.
And if it does not slow?
Then you stop fighting the thought. You observe it without judgment. You say, there is that thought again. It is not me. It is just a thought.
That is surprisingly close to what modern psychology teaches. The Stoics arrived there 2,000 years ago.
Because they were studying the mind directly, not with instruments, with attention and honesty and experience.
All right. I want to end with the thing most people get wrong about Stoicism and anxiety.
Say it.
People think that the Stoic goal is to feel less, to need less, to want less, to become emotionally small. And that sounds like a kind of death, not a philosophy.
The goal is not to feel less. The goal is to be ruled less by what you feel. There is enormous room between those two things.
You can feel everything fully, and still choose what you do with it.
That is the discipline, not the absence of fire. The ability to hold fire without being consumed.
And inner peace is the result of that discipline. Not a destination you arrive at. A capacity you build over time.
Day by day, one moment at a time. One thought examined. One fear questioned. One reaction chosen.
That does not sound like a philosophy anymore. It sounds like a practice. A daily practice of choosing who you are in the middle of a world you cannot fully control.
That is exactly what it is. You do not become calm by escaping life. You become calm by no longer letting life command the part of you that was meant to remain free.
Then maybe that is where we leave it. The anxious mind is not broken. It is untrained.
And training is always available. Not because the world will become easier, because you can become stronger than your fear of it.
Stoicism for anxiety and overthinking. Not a promise that pain disappears. A discipline that ensures pain does not become your master.
Begin with one question. What is in your control right now? Answer that honestly, and you have already taken the first step.